Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's reads. This is YouTube channel James 13 Wicca. If you see it somewhere else, it's not correct. No, this is the wrong one. The main tarot I'm going to be using are the Gilded Tarot Royale by Chiro Marchetti, text by Barbara Moore. On the bottom here is the website llewellyn.com, which seems to glare. Hopefully you can see it, or it focuses for a second at least, if you are interested in that deck. Supportive Oracle cards is this one. Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen Raish Baskin. This is the Watkins Publishing. WatkinsPublishing.com is the website. And in the maroon color you can see Tori Hartman's website. I want to say it's ToriHartman.com. Yep, right there. And for the dice, I use a 22-sided dice for the major arcana, substituting 22 for 0 for the Fool, 14-sided dice for the minor arcana, and for the element of the minor arcana, I use a 4-sided dice. MathArtFun.com is where I got it from. It's called the Dice Shop for the dice. Alright, that being said, if you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com, james4astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Okay, I think we're all ready. Let's get into your reading. Hello, Aquarius. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Aquarius? So, there's some... How far are we going to go with this? So, what are we dealing with? I feel like the shock is already happening. Either the tower has fallen or is in the process of falling. The Hermit card, and then the Ten of Cups reversed. So the Ten of Cups is like a very good social connection. It's almost like a very strong family connection. But this is saying something like that might have fallen apart. So like if it was a family connection, it's almost like the matriarch or the patriarch maybe passed away and then people are falling to the wayside and aren't hanging out as much as they used to. Or if it's a social connection, it's like maybe there was a certain group, a certain thing people would get together for, and all of a sudden we're not doing that anymore. The situation came to a close. And I feel like we weren't expecting this close to happen. We weren't expecting it to end. This could be something that happened a couple years ago, that we had a very strong group, but then maybe things shut down and then we just didn't do them anymore and it just hasn't really come back yet. So this seems to be where this is starting from. Now, as it's moving forward, it's kind of like, I don't feel like there's a very compatible energy with getting it started up again, but somebody is trying to get things going again. Somebody's trying to heal this connection. Somebody's trying to bring it back in. And again, the tower may have already fallen or is in the process of falling. But somebody is trying to heal it, I'm getting. And I don't feel like it doesn't seem like it's locking in. Like when I'm getting this energy with the Four of Pentacles with that Tower card, it's kind of like it's falling apart and it's just, you can't stop it. It's just, either it's falling apart and you can't stop it from falling apart, or it's already fallen apart and I can't seem to get it to come back together. I can't get people to work together to bring it back together. One of the two. And I get one of the reasons it's not working is because there's a mismatch in energy. The energy here is like you got, well, one of these is Sagittarius, that's the Temperance, and this is the Capricorn energy is the Devil card. It doesn't have to be you're dealing with people that are those signs, but these two energies are not really compatible. Because it's like the two other cards that come in right with it. It's like trying to make things right with perfection, trying to make things go very well to a certain standard, which is like perfection in the Devil. And then the Two of Wands and the Temperance card kind of go together too, because it's kind of like random energy, making quick decisions, just keep moving, don't overthink it, just keep moving. These energies don't work well. All of this is not really happening. It's kind of like somebody wanting a lot of like accountability, a stable plan, a really good plan, but meanwhile, while somebody's trying to create that, this other person is just going all over the place, just doing things here and there, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, to where the two of these just never seem to meet, and they are counterproductive. They don't help each other. They butt heads, and they don't really work well together. Ironically, they're successful on their own, but they cause dismay and discord with each other if they're working together. And that's going with the same thing. Somebody trying to create a lot of perfection, trying to do it exactly right, trying to do it precisely, but making all these random decisions here with the Two of Wands. It's just like, it doesn't make sense, because it's like we go a couple steps this way, then we go that way, then we go this way, then we go that way. It's not easy to get perfection with that. And usually perfection is an unrealistic goal anyway. So we're struggling with this. We're trying to make it work, and it's not happening. There's something else trying to come in. I don't know if this is realistic either. Somebody else is also trying to give their 2 cents and trying to find a way to make something new. So it's almost like whatever we had, this connection, this one connection, it fell apart, or is in the process of falling apart. Trying to fix it or trying to reanimate it, not working. Somebody else has a whole nother thing, something all totally new over here. Like, let's create a whole new thing. So, for example, if it was a family connection, and the matriarch or patriarch passed away, and there was always get-togethers at their place. And then this new idea is kind of like, you know what, instead of doing, the holidays at somebody's house, how about we do a couple of summer barbecues where we get together, everybody gets together a couple times in the summer, and then we can do what we want personally, for the holidays, and that could be everybody can do their own thing, and then in the summer we can do something totally different, and maybe we could all camp together, or maybe we could go in and all buy a camp, and we could have a place for everybody to come together, and we could do that a couple times in the summer. There's somebody coming in with a whole new idea. It's not that it's not, like, people like it. It's very romantic. It almost feels, especially with that Two of Cups, somebody feels like it's a great idea. The Moon card is kind of like a lot of fantasy, but it could be a very romantic thing too. The quest is telling me it's going to take a lot of work to make it happen, though. This is coming in from the side. The question is, can this really happen? Is this really going to be a realistic thing? Is this really going to happen? Because we go into this next phase where people are like brainstorming of like, well, we could also do this instead, or we have this option, or we could do this, or we could do that. All these ideas are floating in here. And it's kind of like we need to take some ideas here that are floating around here in the possibilities. We got to tack some of them down to the table. And we got to work together to see which one of these ideas are actually realistic. We got to take them down one by one, look at them, tack them down. Is this realistic? Yes or no? And if it is, let's put that into that, okay, this could happen. We'll think more about that later. If we tack a couple more down and like, well, this wouldn't happen because of that, or that couldn't happen because of this, we discard that idea and we let that go. So that's the first thing we got to do, is kind of like nail it down. The trick here is like when this is happening to not feel like there's nothing to really work with and there's nothing that we could really make happen. Because a lot of it seems a little bit like it's a little bit too much. Like, for example, if like getting everybody together during the summer, and maybe we could all go in and buy a piece of land and make our own camp, to where we all have our own space at this camp, and we could go there when we wanted to, and we could see family, and that may be kind of like, well, that sounds really unrealistic. Instead of just going down that going, well, I don't think that would happen, take a quick look at it in the sense and kind of like just do a couple quick figures. Well, to do that, we'd probably each have to invest at least $50,000. How many people think they would do that? And if like half of them or most of them say, no, I can't do that, all right, we'll get rid of that one. But then we might revamp that idea. What about us getting together at like if we book a campground, far enough ahead, and we get all our same location together. We're all like next to each other, so we're at the same campground. All our sites are next to each other. How many people would be able to do that? Okay, so we upgraded it, we vamped it up. That's something we really could do. Something like that. Or another idea is like, well, what if we go to so and so's house and people camp outside and we use the facilities, maybe rent a porta potty or two. Is that an idea because they have a lot of land? Is that realistic? Stuff like that. Just kind of like, all right, the original idea, that's not going to happen. But are there different ways that could happen? That's you. That's your energy. Kind of like, all right, original idea, not so good. But let's see, what other variations could we possibly have? You're Aquarius. There's other ways to do things. You could find them. Doesn't mean we're going to do those ideas, but let's revamp some ideas. What ones ever that you like the best? Because if you're the one revamping them, you might as well find the ways to, what ones look the best to you. Which ones would you like to see happen but would have to change a bit? And what changes would actually make it realistic for you? And then see how other people feel about it and see if they have their own ideas they could add to the pot. That's the idea. To not look at it like there's just nothing here to hold on to, because that seems to be like the knee-jerk reaction, kind of like, oh, it's all a lot of fantasy. There's nothing really here to hold on to. Seems to be the knee-jerk reaction. Instead of doing that, going into it and going, okay, I kind of like this idea. It's not realistic, but in my version, what would make it realistic is this. Anybody else have any ideas? Stuff like that. You're Aquarius. You can make this happen. I almost said Gemini, I'm noticing. So you might have some Gemini energy there that would help you. If you have some Gemini people, or the Gemini energy I'm talking about is like they can see 50,000 different angles to one problem. If you have somebody like that in your midst with this situation, pull on their ear, get them to participate in the conversation. They can help you find ways that you might not see. That's like their forte. It doesn't mean they have to be a Gemini, but they might have some of those Gemini traits. Work that to your advantage. Once you find a couple things that you actually like, it goes into this whole new level. Because I feel like there's going to be people who want to do what they want to do, but they don't want to do it all by themselves. Even though they're the leader energy, they're like, I don't want to lead this. There's other people who usually lead that are like, I don't want to lead this, but they're like, I'll help, but I'm not going to lead. That seems to show up here with the balance and the King of Wands. Kind of like, I could lead, I don't want to lead on this. If somebody else takes the lead on it, I will assist and do what I can, but I don't have the time or energy to actually lead this situation forward. I got too many other things I'm leading forward. I'm noticing that there with the balance, like somebody's trying to balance out their life and they're just like, I'm not going to take the lead on this. If somebody else does, I'll assist, but I will not lead, which is fine. It's great when people know their limits. But it's going to take this next level about, like, are we actually going to move forward with anything? Or are we just going to kind of look at this like, I don't know. It's going to hit this moment where it's kind of like there's possibilities, but nobody seems to want to take the lead and move it forward. There's too much stress to get it off the ground for somebody to get on the boat and take that next trip forward. And I feel, when I see complacency, I feel like people are just accepting like, oh, maybe this can't happen. This is where it actually comes down to your opinion. In your opinion, is it worth it if this comes back around? Whatever the situation is, I feel like it was really good at one time. It fell apart, at least by this point, it's completely fallen apart. Would you like to see it come back or not? Because this is where this is going. If you want this to come back and you feel like this is worth coming back with this new version of things, it's not going to move forward unless you move it forward. If you decide to be the leader of it and you delegate out some of the responsibilities, this will work. It's going to take some brutal honesty. It's going to take you grabbing that Ace of Wands and moving it forward. But it's kind of like we have to accept that somebody has to take the lead. It's more than likely going to be you. If you don't want to, that's fine, but this probably won't happen. And we got to walk away from like what's not real and what is real here. We got to like take things out of the picture here. Like if other people are going to be involved, like do they have the history to show that they will stay involved? And we're going to have to like we're going to have to stay in touch with each other and we're going to have to work together on this. People are going to have to work with me. Are we willing to do that? And also I feel like when I see the facade, I feel like we kind of have to take a poll. Like how many other people are really invested in this to where they want it to happen? Because if they want it to happen, we can make this happen. But if there's certain people, especially if it's a family thing, that certain people are like they really don't want to, Okay, that's fine. Who does want to? And let's center on the people who do want to. I have a feeling, for example, if it's a family thing, maybe, for example, maybe 20 to 30% don't want to do it, and that's fine. 70% does. Work with those people. You're going to be surprised. The other people are kind of like, well, I don't want to be counted out. I want to be a part of it too. If everybody else is going to do it, I want to do it too. They might circle back around later, kind of make room for it. I would suggest making room for it. You don't have to, clearly. Do what you need to do. But that's kind of like a little bit of extra energy there, just letting you know that that's there. Of course, I feel like the bottom line here, is it worth it to you to make this happen again? I'm not saying it's fair that you're the one that has to lead it, but if this reading is hitting the way it feels like it is, that's going to be the difference between it actually happening and not happening. If you decide to lead it, it'll happen. Otherwise, not very likely. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm just saying if it's worth it to you, but if you're okay with letting it go, there you go. I know, I feel weird about it, because I feel like that's not fair that that's all on your shoulders, but then again, I also feel like however it used to work before, it was always on somebody else's shoulders, so that's how this survives. Somebody has to pick up the baton and take control of it, and somebody has to be that control. Somebody has to be the matriarch, patriarch, whatever you are. The one in control, somebody has to choose it. It's not an easy job, but it's definitely something within your wheelhouse is what I'm getting if this reading is hitting. Alright, I think we're there. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.